What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast and I'm finally back with another video. It's been over a week since I last posted, and if you've been wondering where I've been feeling really burnt out from creating content and also playing the game in general. As a content creator that specializes in running spicy and unique teams, I essentially have to run a completely different team every single time I play in the Go Battle League, which means I'm always building new Pokemon, which means I'm always having to grind for Stardust and XLs to make these investments, and it got to the point where most of my new investments were crazy XL Pokemon that I had to spend weeks trying to gather all the resources to power them up, which just wasn't sustainable. I'll be honest, I'm still not feeling great about the game at the moment, but I still want to make content. I'm just not going to pressure myself to upload every single day. So as for the team, I'm running Shadow Galvantula because it looks to be a really strong core breaker for the current meta, and I'm actually running Cross Poison because it does reach that charge move a lot faster and it has the potential to boost, which came in clutch so many times in these battles, so it was really fun to use. Now I'm also running Shadow Poliwrath with counter because I haven't used it since its community day, and I'm also running Shadow Alolan Ninetales because it's a Pokemon I built a while ago, but I've actually never used it, so I thought I'd give it a try. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. What do you think is the best core breaker for the current Open Great League meta? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so going into the first battle, we need Shadow Poliwrath into Shadow Alolan Ninetales. I'm going to stay in, check that it isn't Powder Snow, and then swap into my own Shadow Alolan Ninetales. The opponent responds with a Lantern, and they do make it to a charge move, but this was too soon to be the Thunderbolt, so I let the Surf go through. I can now overfarm significantly, going up to nearly 100 energy, going for Dazzling Gleam. We grab a shield from the opponent, and there's no point throwing here. I'm going to force my opponent to panic and throw a charge move just to guarantee they can take me out before I make it to another Dazzling Gleam. Now that's absolutely perfect. I grab a shield advantage, going to come in with the Shadow Galvantula. Unfortunately, they've got a ton of energy loaded, but what I'm going to do here is actually overfarm massively, double shield if I have to, which I'm going to, and then I will be able to go for a Cross Poison after farming up to nearly 100 energy with the Galvantula, and Cross Poison will be enough damage from this range to take out the Lantern, and we get the boost. They come in with a Scrafty. We're now going to go for the lunge. We are boosted. This is going to do massive damage. All grab the shield. We debuff their attack. We make it to the lunge on the CMP tie with the Scrafty, and lunge takes out the Scrafty. We're 1 volt switch away from the boosted Cross Poison, and from this range, Cross Poison takes out the Shadow Alolan Ninetales, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. There you can see the absolute insane closing power with that Shadow Galvantula if you can get the boost. Now into the next game, we see a Pidgeot in the lead. The opponent's not swapping out. We're definitely going to grab a shield here, and I expect them to go for a Feather Dance bait before swapping into a Pokemon. But let's see, the opponent does bait with the Feather Dance, and they're going to stay in still with their Pidgeot. We go for the Weather Ball number 2, and the opponent lets it go through, but they do just about tank that now that they have debuffed me, and they come in with a Medicham. So they didn't have a solid answer to the Ninetales, but from this range they can easily tank that, fully counter farm me down, and at this point I'm going to come in with my Shadow Poliwrath and just fully sacrifice it. And if they bait me, then that's absolutely fine. They go for the Psychic, it takes me out, but now we're going to try and sweep with the Shadow Galvantula. Now they go for the Ice Punch on alignment, meaning I get a full Volt Switch in for free. I'm now going to go for a Cross Poison here, and this once again will be enough damage to take out the Medicham, and once again we get the boost, and the Pidgeot doesn't even make it to a charge move, and now they've got Whimsicott in the back. This is double super effective, and Cross Poison takes out the opponent, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see a Cofagrigus in the lead. Not a great lead because they do resist the counter damage. We swap into Shadow Alolan Ninetales, and this is kind of great because we have baited out the Galarian Stunfisk, which our Shadow Galvantula can do absolutely nothing against. We do live 1 rock side, so I let the first one go through. I'm going to go for the Weather Ball on the CMP tie with this next rock side, meaning my opponent cannot overfarm at all in this matchup. Now here, if I wanted to, I could double shield and farm them down, but Galvantula with no shields is pretty risky. We've already got rid of the Stunfisk here, so I'm going to come in with my Poliwrath, and I should be able to make it to the Scald just before they make it to the Shadow Ball, and Scald does grab a shield from the opponent, which is not ideal because All of my charge moves are resisted from Galvantula. I call a bait, and it is the Dark Pulse. And now I'm going to swap into my Shadow Galvantula, and I will shield this up. The opponent is going to go for the Shadow Ball this time around, so that's great for me. Going to go for a lunge here. I don't think it will take them out, but it will debuff their attack. But we grab the shield anyways, and now I'm hoping at this point I will be able to fully Volt Switch, farm down the Cofagrigus from this range. It's going to be close, but we get the farm down, and now I go for a lunge straight away. It's a Lantern that comes in. This will debuff their attack, and I should be able to make it to a second lunge after just one Volt Switch. And at this point, I'm then going to swap into my Poliwrath straight away. We are close to the Power Up Punch. We make it before they get to a Thunderbolt, and Power Up Punch from this range takes out the Lantern, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see a Lantern in the lead, so not ideal. Going to save swap into my Shadow Alola Ninetales. Now, this is also a losing matchup. I'm going to shield the first move, expecting the Thunderbolt, but they bait with a Surf. That is really not ideal for me. That is, yeah, that's really bad. We're going to full send the Dazzling Gleam, but unfortunately the opponent shields that as well, so really not looking good. I'm actually going to commit both shields here. They do send the Thunderbolt this time around, so I can now go for Dazzling Gleam number 2, and this should be grabbing the final shield from the opponent, but they will be able to make it to another Thunderbolt, and Thunderbolt from this range doesn't quite take me out, but one more Spark does. And now we're not in a great position. I'm going to come in with my Shadow Galvantula. They are at 1 Spark. We're going to come in and they will be able to make it to a Surf before we get to the Cross Poison or the Lunge. And from this range, I don't think it will take them out. So we're going to overfarm as much as possible, throwing on the CMP tie. And Cross Poison will be enough damage to take out the Lantern. We get the boost and the opponent comes in with a Shadow Poliwrath. Now, unfortunately, not running Discharge. That would easily one-shot them, but Cross Poison nearly does the job. We get the snipe with the counter farm down. But unfortunately, they've got a Shadow Meganium in the back. Now, if we were running Ice Punch, I still don't think we take this game here. Scald does a decent amount of damage considering it's resisted, but they will be able to make it to the Frenzy Plant and Vine Whip farm down my Galvantula, and I do unfortunately lose that game. But GG's to that opponent. And if you're wondering why I'm running the full Giovanni outfit, I tried a Giovanni team challenge and unfortunately it didn't work whatsoever. I actually went 0-15, so obviously I probably won't make a video unless you guys really want to see me just losing over and over again. I might try it again in a few days time, but it was very demotivating considering I spent 350k Stardust and an Elite TM on a Shadow Persian to give it Night Slash, and it just didn't work at all. But anyways, into the commentary for this battle, we do take the crunch there, calling that it was just a crunch and not the Sludge Bomb, and now I will be able to flip switch advantage if I want to, and the opponent lets the move go through. They come back in and we barely make it to another Weather Ball, and this should be grabbing the final shield from the opponent. We're going to come in with the Galvantula. It is very likely that they go for a Feather Dance here, but honestly they're still going to chunk a little bit, so we do shield it up. They come in with Medicham. I'm going to go for a lunge and I will overfarm in this matchup, throwing just before they make it to the Ice Punch and then swapping out here into my Shadow Poliwrath, and this is essentially going to force them to go for a Psychic straight away, which they do with the debuff that actually doesn't take me out. They get the counter farm down, but I do make it to the lunge in time, and I'm hoping that I've got enough health here where I can output more damage to the Pidgeot, and we do just barely farm them down with the Volt Switch, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Medicham in the lead. So going to save swap into my Alola Ninetales, and the opponent is running a fully XL Carbink, and this is probably the worst thing for our team to see, as it does beat, well, it very easily beats Ninetales and Galvantula, and after getting a massive Rock Throw farm down, they will come out with a Moonblast loaded, so they will be able to force a shield up against my Poliwrath too, so we're really not in a great position here. So we're going to come in with the Poliwrath. They go for the charge move straight away. I'm just going to shield it up, and it is the Moonblast. Luckily, no attack debuff there, and we do get the counter farm down. They come back in with the Medicham. We can go for the Scald straight away, and this will do some nice damage if they let it go through, and they do let it go through, and at this point, I'm just going to let the Poliwrath go down, hoping that somehow Galvantula can fully sweep this backline, but they've got a Trevenant with 2 shields here, and even though we do resist the Seed Bombs, I'm going to go for the lunge straight away. It's just not going to help me. The Shadow Claws are just chunking way too much. I'm going to let the move go through, calling the bait, but you can see a debuffed Seed Bomb still does so much damage. They're able to Shadow Claw farm me down, and I do unfortunately lose that game. So GG's to that opponent there. into the next game, a much better lead, leading into Bastion, and the opponent safe swaps into Medicham. Now, this is why I really like having cross poison, because actually Medicham can flip this matchup ahead on energy, because they will be able to make it to those ice punches just slightly before we make it to the lunges. But here with the cross poison, we make it to back-to-back cross poisons in time, and if they wanted to double shield, I would just fully volt switch farm them down there. They choose not to do that, and I'm expecting it's going to be like Victory Bell in the back, most likely. We make it to a cross poison that is triple resisted. We get a boost, but it doesn't matter because Smackdown would have taken us out before the volt switch registered anyways. We come in with the Polyref, we let the Stone Edge go through, and it is the Victory Bell. We could be running Ice Punch, so I go for a Power Punch straight away, grabbing the shield from the opponent, and now I need to make it to back-to-back Weather Balls to take out this Victory Bell here. But even if I don't make it to the second move, I should put them into range where we can farm down with the Polyref, but it doesn't matter. We get to Weather Ball number 2, taking out Victory Bell. They'll smack down, farm me down, but it doesn't matter. We can come in, go for a full counter farm down, no point in throwing a charge move, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Shadow Polyref into Altaria. So this is not a good matchup, but this is a matchup where we could be running Ice Punch. So I'm going to go and bait with a Power Up Punch, and the opponent's going to call the bait there, which is really unfortunate. At this point, I don't really want to shield this because I kind of just want my Ninetales aligned to it, but they come in with a Venusaur. Now, I'm not really familiar with playing Shadow Alola Ninetales. I don't know if a Weather Ball would have taken them out from that range, so I play it safe, shield once, and now I farm to the back-to-back charge moves, and Weather Ball does grab a shield from the opponent, so we go for the second Weather Ball. This will easily be enough from this range to take out the Venusaur, and let's see what the opponent has in the back. The opponent's going to come in with a Swampert. We swap into our Shadow Galvantula. We make it to the lunge before they go for our Hydro Cannon, and this is massive. Lunge will debuff their attack, meaning hopefully we live a Hydro Cannon from this range. It's going to be close, but Hydro Cannon doesn't take us out, and because we're running Cross Poison, we're going to be able to deal enough chip damage to put them into range where a Weather Ball will be enough to KO the Swampert from this range, and now I'm going to shield up the Hydro Cannon. Are they at the back-to-back? They are not. We make it to the Weather Ball, and now all I need to do is make it to a Weather Ball up against the Altaria in the back. We're able to do exactly that, and this will easily be enough damage to take out the Altaria, and I'm able to take that game. So even though Cross Poison was resisted there, it was just about enough damage to put the Swampert into range where we could take them out there. So really clutch in that game. Into the next game, we see Azumarill in the lead. Now this is really not good for us. We're going to safe swap into the Ninetales, and once again, this is still a losing matchup. I'm going to shield the first, play rough there, go for the Dazzling Gleam straight away. Hopefully the opponent lets this move go through, but they do end up shielding it, which is unfortunate, and now they will make it to another play rough. I should just about live this and then go for a Dazzling Gleam, but this will not be enough damage to take out the Azumarill, and they will be able to fully bubble farm me down. So that's really unfortunate for me. Now I could come in with the Galvantula and tank a move, but instead what I'm going to do is come in with my Shadow Polyref and go for a very, very aggressive counter farm down. I'm going to have to use one shield, but these counters are resisted, so I would have got a massive farm down. The opponent recognizes that, so they swap into a Sableye. We're going to go straight for Scald. It does huge damage. We get the attack drop, and we CMP tie them on the potential return here, and this Power Punch actually grabs a shield from the opponent. Now I might have misplayed here because return does take me out, and now I'm thinking actually it's going to be a double Ghost backline, and if it is, which it is, Frostlass is going to be able to resist every charge move I throw. So even though Lunge is going to deal some nice damage to the Frostlass, it is resisted. They do tank it, and even a debuffed Avalanche will be taking out the Galvantula, and I do unfortunately lose that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Should have perhaps read the team after I saw the Sableye coming in, but it is what it is. GG's to that opponent, and into the next battle. I can't remember what they led with, probably a Medicham. They swap into Dunsparce to counter the Alola Ninetales. Now here, I'm going to bait with a Weather Ball. I don't want to go straight for Dazzling Gleam, because if they shield it, they would be able to fully farm me down, and likewise, I don't go for Weather Ball here, because I want to force them to throw their energy straight away, and now I come in with my Shadow Polyref and get a massive counter farm down from this range. Let's see, can we get the farm down before they get to a move? Yes, we can, and now we make it to the Scald, and this will do some nice damage to the Medicham. Scald does get them into the yellow health. We also get the attack drop. This is probably just an ice punch, but I'm going to shield it anyways. I don't know what their final Pokemon is, and it ends up being a Dugong, so we're now going to go for the lunge, and lunge will probably grab a shield from the opponent, expecting a potential discharge. They do make it to the icy wind, but after the lunge debuff, I should live this, and I will be able to make it to another lunge. Now, unfortunately, if I was running discharge, I would go for it here because that would be super effective, but we put them into a nice range where we can fully counter farm them down. I can't really afford to shield this up. It's actually an icy wind bait there, so the opponent also wanting to debuff my attack, but it doesn't matter. We can just ramp it up again with the power up punches, and I will be able to fully counter farm down Medicham before they make it to back-to-back moves, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's to the opponent there. Into the next game, a very good lead for the Shadow Poliwrath. The opponent safe swaps into Medicham, and once again, this is where having cross poison makes this matchup a lot more comfortable. They go for the ice punch there. I'm going to farm and go for a lunge first, and this will put them into range where I can fully farm them down, hopefully. But no, actually, I wouldn't be able to do so. So I'm actually going to go for the cross poison, take them out, and we get the boost. So even if they come back in with the Sand Slash, they will have to throw straight away to take me out. Otherwise, they're going to have to shield a lunge because those Volt Switches are absolutely chunking the Sand Slash. And instead, we actually throw on the CMP tie. So best case scenario, they waste all of their energy. We come back in with the Poliwrath straight away. They swap into Charm, a load of Ninetales. And here, I'm going to stay in, go for the Scald, making sure I grab the final shield before swapping out into my Ninetales. And even though Poliwrath is really low, it's only going to take 2 counters at most to take out that Sand Slash in the back. So we shield up the Side Shock. We can go for the Dazzling Gleam straight away. Don't want to get myself too low where they can actually farm down with the Alolan Sand Slash. They come back in with the Sand Slash. They throw just before we make it to the Weather Ball, but it doesn't matter. They don't have 2 moves loaded, so we're able to counter, farm down the Sand Slash, and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. So into the next game, we see a Pidgeot in the lead. So going to save swap into my Alolan Ninetales, and the opponent responds with a Scrafty. Now this is a matchup where I can guarantee to grab both shields from my opponent if I want to, but if they want to, they can fully power up punch their way through this matchup in the 2 shield scenario. So we go for the Weather Ball bait, grabbing the shield there, and I don't know if I live a power up punch from this range, so I'm actually going to use a shield to guarantee I grab a shield or take out the Scrafty from this range. So Dazzling Gleam does grab the final shield from the opponent, and now we can come in with the Poliwrath if they go for Foul Play, which will be double boosted. We should still barely live it, and we do just about live that there. We are going to swap instantly into the Galvantula if they come back in with the Pidgeot, which they do. They then swap into Double. We're going to go for a lunge straight away. Unfortunate timing there, but I kind of want to debuff them as soon as possible, and we do get the attack drop. I'm now going to shield at the last second, and they full sent the payback there, which is really good for me because they do make it to a Body Slam just in time. Body Slam gonna put me incredibly low, but the Volt Switch takes them out, and now I go for a Cross Poison, and this might be a mistake because I'm actually in range where they can fully Wing Attack farm me down, and I thought I had a Scald loaded, but I didn't, and then they can go straight for Brave Bird, take up my Poliwrath, and we do lose a heartbreaking game there. But GG's to that opponent. Into the next game, we see a Talonflame in the lead. Now this, unfortunately, now with counter instead of the Mud Shot, it's actually a bit of an awkward situation. They can go for the Flame Charge, very likely to be the Flame Charge, which it is, but they're now going to boost their attack, and even though I've got Galvantula in the back, these boosted Incinerates are just going to do way too much damage. We do win the CMP tie for the next charge move here. Scald does grab the final shield from the opponent, but I'm going to call another Flame Charge bait. It is the Flame Charge, but we're so low. I swap into Galvantula here just to get off those 2 Volt Switches. Unfortunately, they make it to another charge move. Flame Charge takes me out, but they're in range where I can Powder Snow, farm them down in just 2 Powder Snows. So they swap into Lantern and down a shield. This is actually not that great a matchup for the Lantern, as I'm going to shield the Thunderbolt, and that's really big for me. And now I'm going to overfarm here, making sure they don't know how much energy I've got. We go for Dazzling Gleam. That does big damage. We don't quite get the Powder Snow farm down, but I make it to a Weather Ball in time. This will be taking out the Lantern, and let's see, they come in with a Trevenant. Their switch clock is certainly not up yet, so I farm to 1 before they make it to the Seed Bomb. Weather Ball takes out the Trevenant, and I'm able to Powder Snow, farm down the Talonflame, and take that game. So GG's to that opponent there. Into the next game, we see Poliwrath into Galarian Stunfisk, so a great lead for us. The opponent save swaps into Sableye. We respond with the Powder Snow, a load of Ninetales. Now, this is a bit unfortunate here. I'm going to have to respect the damage from a return. They bait with a Foul Play, which is not ideal. I'm now going to bait myself with a Weather Ball, and this Weather Ball will put them incredibly low, and they will not be able to make it to another return here. So I can let the Foul Play go through. I'm actually going to let them farm me down a bit more. Honestly, I should have perhaps let them get one more Shadow Claw off, as now the Galarian Stunfisk will be able to get at least 3 Mud Shots, maybe 4 to take me out, which is not ideal for this Ninetales whatsoever. We go for a second Weather Ball. The opponent's going to let that go through as well, and they do get 4 Mud Shots off, which is not great. They then come in with Medicham with down a shield. Now this is going to be a really tricky matchup. I'm going to shield up the Ice Punch here, and I'm going to go for a Lunge straight away, debuffing their attack, and Lunge will be grabbing the first shield from the opponent. I will now be able to outpace them to the Cross Poison, and this should be grabbing the final shield from the opponent, which it does, and these Volt Switches will put them into range where a Scald should hopefully be enough damage to take them out. So it's all up to the Shadow Poliwrath. We are going to overfarm by 1, but the opponent makes an amazing catch onto their Galarian Stunfisk. We fully undercharge. We barely get the farm down before they get to the Earthquake, but they then outpace me to the charge move. Psychic will be enough damage to take out the Shadow Poliwrath, and their opponent, making a great catch there, is able to take that game. So GG's to that opponent. And into the final battle of this video, another Medicham in the lead. Gonna save swap, and we bait out a Bastiodon, which obviously is awful for the Ninetales, but it does mean that our Galvantula won't be aligned to it. So we go for Dazzling Gleam. That does absolutely nothing. Honestly, I could have just not thrown here, making sure Poliwrath would get a bigger counter farm down. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Now we're going to wait out the switch clock here, come in with the Shadow Poliwrath, and I'm hoping that I only have to take 1 charge move from this Bastiodon. So let's see, they go for the Flamethrower, which is definitely not the play. We resist both Flamethrower and Stone Edge. We do get the full counter farm down, which is massive for me. We can now go for a Scald into the Medicham, and the opponent is going to shield up the Scald. We come in with Galvantula, and they've got a Dugong in the back, and this is great for us. Once again, going to go for a Lunge straight away, and that does grab a shield from the opponent, the final shield as well. I should barely live this charge move from this Dugong, so Icy Wind doesn't quite take me out there, even though Galvantula has really bad IVs. That was quite fortunate that we lived, in all honesty, but now I can fully counter farm them down, and I'm hoping that a Power Up Punch and a Scald will be enough damage to take out this Medicham. They go for Dynamic Punch, which means they are not running Power Up Punch. Perhaps they're not even running Ice Punch here, otherwise they probably would have thrown it. But now I am going to be able to safely make it to 1 more charge move, shield up the second Dynamic Punch, we get to the Scald, and this will easily be enough damage with the boost to take out the Medicham, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.